Good morning, everyone, and Merry Christmas. Gosh, I can't believe we only have a few more days to the end of this year. I can't say that I'm not happy about that. It's been a real tumultuous year. One that I found was very hard for people in the aspect it disrupted their regular thinking. We get so caught in our status quo, our routine, that a lot of people couldn't handle all the switches that go on and happen. I get that. I think all of us are a little guilty of liking things to stay stable without extreme ups and downs. Uh, yeah, I thought there was a lot of things that I was going to have for the next 10 years that were just going to go in a set pattern. And little by little, those fallacies were blown. I mean, they were just fallacies because we can't bank on everything staying the same because we change and our minds change and we are the creators of our world. So today, what I wanted to talk to you about was priorities. I have been thinking a lot about that because to a lot of us, our priorities are paying our bills, feeding our children, feeding our parents, our dogs, who seem to be wanting to jump up and entertain us because they're down here anyway, and they probably will, so I'll apologize in advance for when one of them jumps. And here he comes. There he is. See? Max has joined, and he's sitting on the cords. So, anyway, I wanted to talk to you guys to try to get you in a concept of what priorities can look like and what they are. I don't mean the ones where we pay our bills. I'm not talking about the ones where we put our spouse or our children ahead of our boss or our neighbor. I'm talking about priorities like our spiritual progression. We all know that we have a long, many lives. And most of us have already come to the conclusion that our lives are patterned. Yep, there we go with Phoebe. Sorry, guys. I know she's messing with the microphone, so I apologize again. So I know that we're sitting here thinking that our day-to-day life here in the 3D is the priority. And to some degree that's true, but it's how we grow spiritually that should be our priority. And that means letting go of a lot of thought processes that we thought were very normal. Hi, Lori. Merry Christmas. We thought all the things that we were doing should be routine. Going to Sunday school, and then a lot of us quit going to Sunday school. So how do we move past those things? Well, we just let them go because they no longer served us. But there's a lot of routine that we're stuck in our spiritual thinking that has us stuck. A lot of it comes in as maybe possibly I'm not good enough, or I can only learn from this one person. I did a survey and I asked in the survey, is there anything else Resonant Essentials can do for you? And one of the replies came back and said, no, nothing at all, because I study with a master. And I thought, well, bless her heart. You know, that's amazing. She's studying with a master in India. And that's where she was going to go, and that's fine. But it really limited her existence, and she didn't really fully understand the question, because it could have been as simple as, yeah, can you have different hours? Can you do work on Sundays? Those are my free times to attend. Or is there any social gatherings? Anything. But that's where she was stuck in. That was where her progression was and her focus and her priorities. And that's wonderful. There's no judgment here. It just showed me that we all have our different priorities on our spiritual path. And we have to remember that we're having many lifetimes happening simultaneously. Time is only expressed on Earth the way it is while we're on Earth. So when we go, honey, you got to get down. Sorry, guys. I'm sure, Laura, you're enjoying that little one. Anyway, the aspects that we deal with also affect our political climate. We don't realize that politics are the lowest form of spiritual expression. Why is that? Because it's filled with trade-offs, domination, and control. And each side wants the power. And I'm not talking about just two sides, because there's a lot of different layers. And there are other parties, even though people keep saying the two-party system doesn't work. Well, we have four parties. We have the Green Party, the Independent Party, the Democrat Party, the Republican Party. The fact that you limit that existence in your mind to two is funny to me, because you have many options. But going through that, we also decide that we have to express ourselves politically in our opinions. And those opinions are funny because we express it to be about us and our wants and our needs. If we really want politics to take a step up the spiritual ladder to the next rung, we need to start looking at making decisions that are for other people, not just for ourselves. Someone during the pandemic screaming that, oh my gosh, my business. They had a restaurant. They chose to close. Ironically, a person 3 doors down, another restaurant, said to me they made more money than ever because they chose to offer curbside service. Not only curbside, even when they could offer indoor dining, they kept it curbside because they could serve more people that way. And they made much more money and kept their staff fully working, and everything was great for them. So it's about our viewpoints and our priorities. The other restaurant that has closed chose to take the grant money to help pay their employees and shut down anyway, and didn't keep their employees working and didn't keep the payroll going. So those are choices that people have made. We can survive this. You just have to get creative. All of the thoughts that we have that affect us in a negative way are coming from the 3D experience, where we've limited our opportunities by limiting our choices. And that is where there's a whole lot of problems in our priorities, in our spiritual progression. I'm harping on this a little about the progression bit because at the end of the day, when you take off your physical form and the muscles and bones are cremated or buried, and your spirit transcends over back to the etheric, and you're working on that side, you can find a lot of things that it didn't really matter, but you made them so monumental in your own life. I'm going to share a little bit because I think sometimes people haven't quite got the opportunities of what this means to be working in this world. We're here, we have opportunities, 7 windows of opportunity throughout our life to exit. Some of you may have heard me tell others about how, or tell you about how my son chose to leave. He wasn't coming back normal. His intestinal bleed was not diagnosed because they kept insisting he had a stomach bleed, and they kept insisting that he drank. Well, my son didn't drink. And they didn't want to listen to the fact that he had an intestinal bleed, and he wasn't given oxygen, and it was actually the lack of oxygen. They finally got the stomach bleed to quit because he went into cardiac arrest and cardiac collapse because he didn't have oxygen. And they got him oxygen, but he was going to come back brain damaged. And I felt the moment that he chose to leave. because his life was going to change, and the path that he was going to be on wasn't going to serve him, and it was going to hinder his daughter and I. So he opted out. And we're in a time right now where that's a real possibility for a lot of people with everything that's going on. And we need to give people those signs of respect. I don't know if my son was going to be the greatest photographer, the greatest healer, the greatest dad. I don't know what he was going to do because he left. But I would have given him every opportunity to stay had that not taken him, had he not gotten ill. And that's kind of where we're at with this disease stuff. If we keep our masks on, it's a sign of respect to someone that says, you know what, I don't know who you're going to be next month, next year. I'm going to cover my mouth and keep my germs from affecting you in an adverse way so that you can become the biggest, best you spiritually. And so many people that are worried about this being against their constitutional right, or they look funny, or maybe they just don't have the right mask. I happen to think I look much younger with my mask on because it hides the wrinkles. Just saying. Whatever the reason is for this ongoing fight, I don't believe I'm going to get COVID. I really don't. But as a sign of respect, if we cover our mouth, we are giving somebody the opportunity so it doesn't go too far for them and they don't suffer for it. Now, some people are going to argue and say, well, that's their path. Okay, but I don't want to be the one that gives them that negative experience, because that's karma on me because I didn't respect. And these are silly things that we ask for signs of respect. There's things like asking people to understand that we pray differently, or we have maybe you have a magical practice that you get up in the morning like I do, and you do your prayers and your meditation that connects you to all the threads of energy in the universe. Maybe you get up and you're a Catholic and you go to church every morning. Maybe you're a Buddhist. However you express yourself, that's your priority in your experience, and we should show signs of respect for that. A lot of people like to argue over the Christian-Muslim thing, and ironically, they're very similar in their beliefs, almost twins. I think there were only 2 or 3 points of dissension between the two brothers when they broke and took it Christianity and Muslim. But people don't want to admit that because they want theirs to be right, and that's not respecting the path of others. It's not about whether my path is right, because it's right for me. It's whether or not I respect your path being right for you that makes the biggest difference. Good morning, my brother. Merry Christmas. The other thing I wanted to talk about today was the option for the Christ consciousness. Now we go in and everybody's so, Jesus is my Lord and Savior. Okay. But we're not going to have a Christ consciousness in this age. Now, a lot of people are thinking, well, we've come to the Aquarian age, and in the Aquarian age, we just did this on the 21st of December. Well, we didn't. I will offer my thought here. Max is back. Sorry, folks. Offer the thought that the age is 2,100 years, and it is when everything is set up to go into the Aquarian age. It takes 2,100 years to cycle through that age. And the ages make up what we call a civilization. And a civilization is about 250,000 years. So you have many opportunities to have many lifetimes, many more than we can ever even fathom having, because we're energy and we don't get created We don't get destroyed. We just transmute into a different form, a different experience. And understanding that this isn't our first go around on earth, and it's not going to be our last, and understand that this is our expression now, and that we've had other lifetimes in other dimensions as other beings, is a very open-ended way to look at it. Now, I heard somebody on a YouTube talk the other day, and he said he had left Canada for the Azores, and that as of December 21st, because it was the age of Aquarius, there was never going to be any more karma. And I chuckled when I heard that. I thought, well, that's okay. I mean, hey, if he can get away with that, yay. Because it reminds me of the guy that said he could, for $30, he'd remove all your karma. And I thought, hell, for $3,000, I would pay you, and you could remove it if it was possible. But our karma is our tool for spiritual progression, and it's with us. And it is a flowing into positive and negative, just like we have our chakras. Our chakras are reactionary to our thought process, so when people say they're closed, it's kind of more going into the negative aspects or negative expression for the personality traits. And when we're in the open flow, or the positive flow, then we're expressing it in a more positive manner. So this guy was going to be done as of December 21st because it was the age of Aquarius, and there was never going to be any more karma. And I wished I was him and I could get away with thinking that, because that would not help me be accountable for the life I'm creating now on December 25th. What does that look like now? Wow, you know what? I work on this every day. I have a big book that I write my work in. And the life I want to lead is one in which I'm of service to others in a positive way. And I affect each of you in a way that brings out the best you that I can possibly help you to get. I don't look at people and see the negative. Maybe that's one of, I've been told that's a bad trait, that, I've got to take off my rose-colored glasses. I can't help you see how good you are if all I'm doing is looking at your negative. Because the negative is just a fear expression or a lack of understanding expression of just how beautiful your light truly is. And when we understand this, we understand that that's what karma is there for. It is not payback. It really isn't. It's about showing you your opportunities for your spirit to progress. It's about saying, do you really think this is necessary? Some of you don't know, but I had a little bit of a car accident, and when I was talking to someone about this, they said, well, why do you think you got into that car accident? Sometimes I'm just there to help somebody else get in a car accident. I didn't have an ulterior motive. Let's get in a car accident today. Somebody hit me and totaled my car. I didn't know the car was coming until it came. I didn't have a thought about that. I did have a thought that, I'd like to have this car. This looks like a really nice car. I'd like to see this car. But I didn't think that I was going to have to deal with any of it. And they said, I think it's about telling you to stay home. And I said, really, you think it's about telling me to stay home? Well, let's see. Can't stay home if I have to go to the chiropractor every 2 or 3 days. Can't stay home if I have to go look for a car because my rental out in the driveway has got to go back. Not going to do me much good staying home and stopping and resting if I have to deal with an insurance company, my own, because the guy didn't have insurance. So we have to look at our lives, and we have to understand that we're creating every day. And how you react to it is how your spirit's going to grow. How you react to others is how your spirit's going to express itself. And you're going to see your progress when you let go of these judgments on a political level that absolutely, somebody told me, oh, the Illuminati, well, they don't care what we're doing. They don't. No, don't care. They don't care what I believe. They don't care. Just as long as I don't start World War 25, just as long as I'm not out there creating hell and, murder, death, suicide, or doing anything illegal, pretty much everybody is happy to just have those moments of expression. And we're so minute, but we don't have to be. And what I'm telling you is that you make a difference. If you're really, really worried about what they're doing politically, then change your behavior. Change your opinion. Change you. And only through changing you can you get everybody else to change. The other aspect of it is when we do these things, we struggle with, we want the conspiracies. People like the negative because then they like to link in so they can charge in and be the hero, so they have a box to stand on, their soapbox, so they can scream from the highest mountains about how bad everybody else is when they're not looking at themselves. The old saying, point a finger and you got three coming back at you. It's not about how we go through and do it. Sorry, Max is growling. And they're just going to start, sorry. Such is the thing of working from home. It's fun. But, the person who only involves themselves in look at me, look at what's happening to me, look at all this stuff for me, that's the person that is, stop you guys, hey, come on. Thank you. That's the person that is going to live in fear. That's the person that's going to bring fear to them. They're going to bring lack to them. We bring lack out of fear. You can be the best psychic, the best transmedium. You can be the best healer. You know what my spirit teacher told me? Whiteout told me, all you have to do is know it's true. That's it. Just know you're doing it. And if you do that, every ounce of your work comes forward. We don't realize that our words are vibrational. They have a mathematical equation. And if we do truly think that we're ready for the 5D experience, then we change the way we talk. And what I mean by that is that we don't sit in judgment, and we don't sit in judgment of ourselves. I mean, most people are so judgmental of their own self that even if they said something about somebody else, it's still that much compared to how much they're judging themselves. And we have to change that. We have to change the way we vibrate. And you do that through prayer, meditation, and study. That means that we're not just, I do know people who repeat other people's work. And I do know people who are only teaching half measure. And they're charging an arm and a leg for it. Well, most people now in this age, we're moving from it. And going back to when we were talking about the Aquarian age, remember, I think I've told you guys this, as we come into a retrograde, okay, the energy slows down, they call a shadow phase, and then you hit that point where Mercury appears to stop in the sky and appears to travel backwards, okay? And then it stops, and it has to catch up to the point in which it stopped moving forward, hits that point, and then has to progress further. That's the same thing with the age. there's a lot of people that were born during the Piscean age that are still alive today. So some of that energy is still held. Some of those fears, some of those teachings are still holding us hostage. Those teachings from a biblical proportion, that they don't understand that what Jesus was saying is I'm not anything special. I'm not the only son of God. We're all a part of God. Therefore, we are God. And what he was saying is these things you too shall do. So don't rely on Jesus to save you from your mistakes. It's on you, because you have to correct your mistakes. You have to change your patterns. You have to make the apologies. You don't get to just go to confession and it's all good. Get last rites and you're all good to go. That's not how it works, because then you're leaving at a point in which your spiritual understanding is here. We have the opportunity to grow here. So the Aquarian age actually started in 1962. Much like the idea of the Mercury retrograde, the Aquarian energy had to build, okay? While at the same time, over here, the Piscean energy had to drop down, and they'll cross over, okay? We're getting to the point that we're more fully ensconced, but the things that we are clinging to for the Piscean thought process isn't going to be eradicated on December 21st, because that's when people decided the new Aquarian age was going to be. It's going to take time for that energy and consciousness to shift out. And even though we've got Aquarian children coming in, and even though we have, the indigo children, I mean, they're all named. We have to categorize. I don't know why. We're all spiritual beings. I haven't quite figured out why we have to have a label for all that, but that's okay. I'm not real good on labeling. But all that energy of the have to go to church, you're going to be a sinner if you don't go to church. It's a venial sin for this, a mortal sin for that. You have, my nieces were Mormon, and they told me at one point when they were Mormon that they were going to be getting baptized for me after I died so I could make it into the kingdom of their heaven. I'm like, don't do it. I will haunt you. I will haunt you. But that was their thought process. And that's that religious dogma that's going to stick around for another 300, 400, 500 years till we completely move through that into the next phase of existence. And that just because we have more, or we think we do, more awareness of 4D and 5D experience, that we've gone from looking at the 3D world and get up, go to work, it's got to be hard, you got to work hard to succeed, can't be a failure, you got to do sports, you got to do this, you got to do that. Just because if you're walking a metaphysical path and have gone, well, that may not have been that important. Maybe we need to bring back the arts to be more fully stimulating our brains, so our children should not necessarily be doing video games, but they should be coloring and drawing and riding a bike and walking through nature and learning about herbs and connecting to earth. Those are the things that we're going to be helping us move through it on a higher level. But remember, there's a lot of people that still fill those churches. They still fill the pews, and they still donate, and they still have. We didn't just wake up and that existence is gone. That's, like I said, when the guy said that the end of karma was going to be on December 21st, I laughed. We still have a whole bunch of people who sincerely believe that they have to go to church every Sunday and they have to work hard. And the gifts of spirit, like our psychic or healing gifts or mediumship, is still a challenge for them to think that the devil didn't have a part of it. I know people who went backwards from being in this world, understanding the metaphysics, the vibration of numbers, the mathematical equations of the words, I love you, versus You piss me off. And the tone of voice in that expression, all of that is what we're working on. Don't buy into that fantasy that you're going to wake up and everything's going to be fine. Wake up to the reality that you are already fine, and that you are the perfect expression of you, and that everything that you do is in perfect harmony to make a difference for someone else. You're there to be their mentor, they're there to be yours. We teach each other hand in hand. And when we hold each other dear, there's no reason to copy somebody else's words. There's no reason to be jealous of somebody else's work, because you're going to take their work to the next level if you do it right. And it'll be your work. They're going to learn from you, and then they're going to take your work up a notch, and they're going to do that work for them. We're in a time that I think, if we're really being honest with ourselves, we're going to lose a lot of world population. And that's okay. Sometimes it's that because the vibration has risen and not everybody can hold this vibration. But truly, I would like for you to sincerely sit and think about all the blessings that you are and excuse me, and have, and everything that you express, and know that if nothing else, I see your perfect, beautiful, loving heart. I see your soul, and I resonate to it. From my heart to all of yours, I wish you a very Merry Christmas. Have some peace in your heart. Give a little love. And we'll see you soon. My heart to yours. Bye now.